Hi again, everybody. I'm Jamie Allison, and this is the Big Idea, Big Moves podcast. This is the destination for high performers and whole life success. We talk to people from different genres, different niches, just people doing really interesting things in their space, hear a bit about their journey and what's important to them, and hopefully translate some of those into our own lives as well. Today, we have a really interesting guest. And just before we jump into that, if you have been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that we have a connection with Thirdsy, and we all know that kind of sleep is key to building muscle, improving athletic performance, or even just performance generally for high performers. But winding down and getting sleep can sometimes be difficult, and they have a recovery collagen that can help with that. It's all natural, packed with nutrients, amino acids, and supports both quality sleep and muscle recovery. So there's no melatonin, sedatives, any of those things. So again, natural. So go to thirdsy.com to check it out yourself, or you can go into our Instagram bio and you can see in there, take the click through. And if you put in BIBM20, you can save 20% on it as well. So check that out for yourself. So really happy to have Sheena Bathory with us today. She's fresh off her win at Power Slap 11, so maybe that's kind of the one thing that we'll talk about. But you might know her as the Hungarian Hurricane from Power Slap. But maybe you've seen her in performances. She's been dominant in MMA, judo. She's also done bodybuilding. But behind kind of all those viral moments that people see there as well, there's also I know a story of determination and setbacks and also personal growth. So we're going to hopefully talk about all those things, but maybe first of all, Sheena, really appreciate you doing this. I know we just talked before we came on that you're in this kind of one little quiet time, I guess, that you have directly after an event like that. But what was that like? I guess just coming off of a big event that had so much, I think, focus and attention.
Yes, I definitely going to take my recovering time, even though I didn't get knocked out. Power slap is still affecting on the brain, so we
Yeah,
still have to be smart. Take my time before I'm gonna hop back to my intense training, because if you're not taking your time, it can be just a few days, 4 or 5 days. But if
yeah,
you're not taking enough rest, you may lose more time of the preparation. It can
yeah,
extending for months. So now currently I'm in Istanbul, one of my favorite country. I have really great memories with Istanbul because, like you said, I did judo in the past, and
yeah.
I was fighting for the Turkish team for the national championship many years ago, and we won the Turkish national judo championship. Actually, they were offering me to get the citizenship for the Olympic Games Rio, Galatasaray.
Really?
They offered me, yeah. So yeah, I have really great memories, and they are amazing hosts. So my flight ticket was going to Budapest through Istanbul, so I just made a stop here and enjoying a little bit, celebrating, relaxing, and then getting back to the prep soon.
Yeah, well, and so just for those people who maybe, I mean, I'm sure they've seen it by now about Power Slap, but I think that's, I mean, it's a very violent sport, I guess, in how it occurs, and to some people would be controversial for the things that you're talking about. That obviously you have to be careful, I think, because of taking that time after. But your most recent match was also a very kind of emotional one. You had there was a lot of build up to that event and everything as well
Yes.
between you and your opponent. And maybe like what was that like? Because you are the most recognizable person and probably the most famous person in the sport now. What's that like going from kind of where you've kind of come from and people seeing you around the world? You probably can go into different countries all over the world and people recognize who you are now from events like this.
Yes, that's true. So do you want to know how I started Power Slap, or
Yeah,
what
yeah,
is?
let's
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So okay, my very first sport was judo. I was doing this 20 years. My father was my coach.
Yeah.
I achieved really good. I can tell I had good achievement. I'm really happy with, like, European gold medal. Many World Cup medals. I was in the Hungarian Olympic team. So I would say I did really good. I could do better, but it was a different reason why it didn't work out that well. I wasn't really very I think my mindset is much more prepared for big events than back then was. I would say
Yeah.
that I improved a lot, you know.
Yeah.
So, and then after judo, I did also some wrestling, but only on the Hungarian competitions. I did some
Mhm.
freestyle wrestling as a hobby. I really like that. And then later, when I retired from judo in 2016, um, I decided to do some bodybuilding,
Mhm.
and I just did like 4 seasons, and honestly didn't really pretty much satisfied me because um it's very uh how I would say very objective sport, or what is the
Mhm.
right word? Yeah,
Subjective, probably. It's more,
subjective, sorry,
yes.
subjective. Yeah. So it's everything is about the look, and when you go on the stage and you just have to show the pose. I'm missing the part about the combat sports that you have to connect with your soul, and it's something different level you're gonna bring out, or in the cage or on the mat
Yeah.
or whatever. So that's what I missed so much. So I went back to training martial arts, but on the side I did some pro wrestling shows too. So
Yeah.
before I went back to MMA or martial arts, I did bodybuilding and I did pro wrestling. I wanted to do pro wrestling, and that's why I moved to United States 4 years
Yeah.
ago. Now I moved back to Hungary, but I was in the States 3.5 years. So I moved to United States with a dream, like, oh, maybe WWE is for me because I like the entertainment. I like you can be a character, but you still can show, some skill. Like
Mhm.
it's a badass show. I
Yeah.
really love it.
Yeah.
Um, and I had some small events. They told me like I'm really learning very fast because of course from judo and wrestling, my
Sure.
body can easily learn. But in the same time, I would say I'm very pretty much the fearless type of woman. So I really like to do no matter what.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
why I ended up in Power Slap too. I just like to push out the limits, testing myself.
Yeah.
So while I was working on my pro wrestling trainings, whatever, just one day, actually, it was 2.5 years ago, Power Slap just reached out to me, and they were like, "Hey,
Ah,
there is an
okay.
exhibition competition, for Power Slap." And I was like, "Wow!" I'm like, "That's something very different."
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't even know this. I knew that there was a thing, but I didn't know it was like an official sport because when I was like 20 years old, I was actually watching some always badass videos on YouTube, and there was some Russian videos, they're slapping each other in the jail.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, wow, that's intense. I said, I don't think I can do that. But it was only dudes.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's so crazy that when I was a kid, like maybe I was 16 actually, I was like 16 years old. I found such type of videos and it's circling back to me, and I'm get invitation for that type of competition, which is becoming actually an official sport. I'm like, that's wild. And why I'm here. And I was like, maybe that's why I had to come to United States. So I get this opportunity. Maybe not the pro wrestling. So I'm very spiritual, and I always try to read and analyzing the signs and the circumstances I am in.
Yeah.
So I was like, anyways, doesn't matter. It meant to me. It meant to me. Like I had a really rough life, even if
Mhm.
I just want to speak about my what is this past relationships. I grew up also very, like, my parents were really tough with me. My father
Yeah.
was my coach. I was like, the slap is nothing for me. I can take it. I'm like, I can take it. I think I'm gonna be good in this sport. And it's, women, they don't really do that. So I was like, okay, it's also something new. So they can, if somebody gonna speak about power slap, and I'm gonna put my name on it, and I'm gonna really be good in that, they're gonna remember me.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be something good and unique for my country because I'm coming from a small country from Hungary. So I was like, it also can give something plus for my country. So I also wanted motivate them. So I accepted the invitation, and then it ended up pretty good. Like okay, pretty good. It was also hard time for me because my opponent, she was actually one of my very good friend from Las Vegas, Kearney Olson. When
Yes.
I moved to Las Vegas, I had a really hard time to finding place to move in, and then she was the one who invited me that I can live months in her house,
Wow.
till I'm
Yeah.
gonna settle down. And I'm like, this life is really make me so much challenge because we didn't know we actually has to face each other. And I was like, here is this big opportunity, but I don't want to hurt my friend, but we both here to 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 take this chance because back then her clothes brand had some issue with, so she really also needed something new.
Yeah.
I'm also coming from a poor family, so I was happy for every opportunities I got. So I was like, oh damn, like I also feel sorry for her because if I wasn't her opponent, I would wish her to win.
Sure.
So sometimes the life really take me in a very very hard emotional challenge situation,
Yeah.
because yeah, I can be very emotional too. I'm not just a fucking monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a very human side too, and it was really hard. And I told her like, look, girl, like let's do this. Let's see how it's going to end. I said I also don't know how I'm going to react. I don't know how I'm going to slap. I never did this in purpose. So it just happened. And then, yeah, as you can see in the video, I got very emotional after I
Yeah.
knocked her out, or I dropped her, and it was very new. But yeah, and then this is how we started. We are still good with Courtney, of course. We are still
That's
friends, but
good. That's good.
but
Yeah.
I caused her some hard time. I know to
Yeah.
to facing with this type of loss. And then actually, the knockout is triggering your emotions. I think it's the brain.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah.
experienced in my last fight, not now, but before I had a rematch with Jackie. But I'm going to talk about that.
Yeah.
So um, so after Kearney, I had my second slap fight against Christine, who was actually a very great slapper. I
Yeah.
have to tell this. She's an amazing human. I have actually a very good connection with her. We're talking sometimes. I love Christine. She's an amazing human. And honestly, her slap is really big.
Oh yeah.
I didn't go out, but I told her like that slap was
That was
hard.
as
Even
close
my
as you
father
got.
said.
Yeah.
Look, my father was also a street fighter, not only just a judo coach. Like, he's a very wise, tough, badass man. But even he
Yeah.
said that, like, that girl really slapped strong. I said, yeah, I felt that. You see it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Christine is really good slapper. I'm actually curious about her comeback too. And
Hmm.
then after Christine, I had Jackie,
Yep.
and that was the ominous situation. uh, that was really hard time for me. I got
Hmm.
knocked out. I didn't know hours what the fuck was happening with me. I
Really?
completely lost like 3 years memories
Oh
for
wow. Really?
hours. Yes, for
Wow.
hours. For hours. It was very scary. I never experienced something like that. So I was in the ambulance car. They took me to the hospital, and holy shit, I was just looking down, and I got shaken by the car, and I'm looking up, and I was like, holy shit, where the hell I am? I didn't remember that I moved to United States. I didn't remember that I was on a power slap event, and I didn't understand English in the beginning. Like, I hear that they speak some language, but I didn't really understand. And I thought that I am still in Europe, and maybe in Bulgaria I get fucking kidnapped and they're going to take my organs. That was my first thought. I
Wow.
swear God. I swear God. And I was like, I'm in fucking big shit. I have to figure this out. And then they saw that I start to panicking. Probably they saw in my eyes that I'm like, don't know what's going on. And
Yeah.
somebody just touched my shoulder and said, no worries, you won. And I said, oh, and I understand then the English. And I said,
Sure.
won. And I said, won what? And they said, power slap. And I said, what is power slap? And they were like, oh, she doesn't remember. They said that. And I said, what city we are at? And they said, Las Vegas. And I was like, Las Vegas, what the fuck I'm doing in Las Vegas? And it was like that. And then,
Oh,
oh, and then I remember that there was a bag, and I asked, is that my bag? And they said yes. And I was like, I need phone, I need my phone. So I was searching my phone, and when I opened my WhatsApp messages and my family group chat,
yeah, yeah.
there was also screenshots of my videos. I'm like, all the
So you
memories
saw
come back.
yourself, but oh, so it started to come back
Then
when you
come, yeah,
started to
then
see it.
started coming back. But
Wow,
until I grabbed the phone, I have
wow,
no fucking idea where I am, why,
wow.
and why I feel this fucking
Does
pain.
does that ever worry you that like because obviously that's caused some damage at that point. Does that ever worry you that that you know
I,
how long you
look, I
continue in Power Slap?
mm, yes. So I kind of promised for my mom, like, no, no, I won't do that because it was really wild, the pain. But honestly, I don't want to talk against Jackie. I'm not looking excuses, and I try to really avoid to looking for excuses for that fight. That's why I was coming back.
Yeah,
That's why was my comeback big, because it
yeah,
was working in me. But that slap, I truly believe, and even there was a print mark. It wasn't on my chin.
yeah,
I think she really hit with the line my carotene.
yeah.
I really feel that because I got sometimes like a big headshot on boxing, and I kind of feel it, how it's supposed to feel. But this was something different, and I had concussion almost for 2 months. I
Oh
couldn't
wow.
train more than 2 months. And like I said, even when they took me to the hospital, they took CTA on my neck too, because they saw
Hmm.
that there was some,
Sure, you
redness and
see it.
everything.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah. I'm not saying that it was intentional or not. That was first event of Jackie, and she anyways
yeah,
has a her unique way to make the slab. It looks
yeah,
a little like chopping style, but I was so fed. Like I did clubbing in ear. It's not easy to actually hit the right spot.
yeah,
So that's why I was also thinking that maybe I kind of have to trust my opponent, that hopefully she's not going to hit my neck again. But I
yeah.
also was training much more like how to flex.
Hmm.
I was so much giving my neck before. I just was literally like giving like that and fucking slap me. But now
Yeah,
I make it more tense, more the jaw, like everything. I asked so many slappers because they had done thousands of more competitions than I did. So I was actually really preparing for this comeback, and I was very confident that I can take better the slap this time, no
yeah,
matter what part she's going to slap.
yeah, yeah,
So that's why, and then I think I did great. I eat all that 3 slaps, and then yeah,
yeah.
people know that I'm hitting hard, so it wasn't really the question that if I can hit hard or not.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. I mean, really interesting thing. And I do want to ask you about because you've mentioned a few times. Obviously, you grew up in a family that was, very focused on judo and kind of all of those things as well.
Yes.
You've had a lot of things that have come up, and you are obviously very resilient. And I guess is that where that comes from? Like, does it come from your childhood, do you think, and maybe kind of your relationship with your dad, or does it come from kind of things that have happened throughout your life? Where does that
I
come
think
for you?
I think it's a mix. It's a mix.
Yeah.
Definitely part of our culture,
Hmm.
part of our history. Like Hungary is went through on a lot if you're
Hmm.
looking the history. So we basically we are fucking survivors, no matter what. We are always in surviving mood. It's typical, close to Russia,
Hmm. Yeah.
we are similar to that. We always try to grow, we always try to create, and in the same time, I think I'm not saying just the pain limit, but the pressure we can take a lot because we get used to, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think this is one thing. The second thing, that I grew up on the farm. My father he was born in 48,
Hmm.
and he had a very tough childhood life, and he basically raised us like it's all we can expect war anytime in our life, so we always
Yeah.
have to be ready. So
Yeah.
the mindset, also very important, the way we were raised, also the genetics. Like my mom, she's also fucking tough. Like when I was 14 years old, and I already started winning the judo competition. And we were literally training in our house on the ground floor in the little room. There was the old mats my dad was buying, not buying, we get just as a gift, like some old, very old mats
Yeah.
in very bad condition. And this is how, because I said we were not rich, and this
Yeah.
is how we started training in a small room in the house with my brothers and sister. And this is how we become like world elite athletes, because my dad said it's no matter, never, no matter the location. He said it's about your heart, about your goals, about your discipline. The God going to give you the opportunity you get there. You just have to put the work in and the faith. And this is how we get raised. So I never really cared where I was training at, you know.
Yeah.
But it's also, like I said, the circumstances was also different, was hard. Like, um and back to my mom, she was really very strong. Like, we had lack of partners sometimes, so my dad, when my mom was cooking in the kitchen and the gym was right next to the kitchen, and dad was like, hey mom, come jump in because we need more partner, the kids has to spare. And my mom literally from the kitchen was grabbing the kimono and was pairing with me, and I was like with my brothers, because we are five. It was like, oh no, just not mom, because she's fucking strong. She grabbed the kimono and she was choking out us like that. She's fucking strong, man. So my mom from the kitchen jumped into fucking training and choking out her kids. Oh my god, because we had not enough training partners. So this was
Wow.
my childhood. But my mom is really. I have so much respect for her. She's an angel and very very strong. So, anyways, and then besides the training, we had lots of homework. Like, whole day was filled out with homework, with animals, on the farm,
Yep.
studying and training, and that was my whole life. So
Wow. Wow.
I like that because I learned that I have to achieve anything through hard work. So the work is never was a question for me. I never was a lazy one. I love to working. It's no matter what. I just love it because I like to earn everything on my own way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always, I would feel like even if I accomplish some victory, it's a gift, like I earned it. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I like to be proud. I like to make my dad proud. I also always like to, so our love language with my parents, it was more about, if you accomplish something, you
Yeah.
can make
From
them
hard
proud.
work. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
the hard work. So we always wanted earn love through that. So that's why I think me and my brothers always looking for some goals, because we want to make them proud.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting when you see kind of lots of people that, have success, and coming from that background, that's obviously a big driver of that about, kind of, wanting, it's not a recognition in the same way it's recognition that, that your hard work has achieved something, I think, from the people that are important to you. And
Exactly.
really
Yes.
interesting, that,
And it gives some extra power when you have to fight, not just for yourself, but for your family, to
right.
make your mom's eyes tearing, that's something special.
Yeah.
It's something special. And that gives us so much drive.
So
Yeah.
what is it like? What is it like now when you win and you obviously are you're traveling the world now, even just kind of going to these events. You go to a big event in Dubai, which is obviously going to be a big show, lots of stuff going on, and coming from a background where you didn't have much, and and you were kind of you were really having to kind of probably fight for everything that way, and then being in this situation now that probably must feel very different, like, and having to talk to your family about it and say, okay, I'm in this really super nice hotel in the middle of Dubai or wherever it happens to be at
Yeah, yeah,
times.
yeah.
What's that like? I think, being able to tell, because some of it is that, wow, that she's achieved these things, but the other point is it's also kind of strange, I'm sure, to see what you've been able to achieve in a period of time.
So in the beginning, when I started leveling up in my
Yeah.
life, I was
Yeah.
like, wow, it's actually happening. It's
Right.
not impossible. And it gives you a good feedback that actually anything is possible, anything. So it was just a good feedback. And when I was ranking up, I was like, hmm, it actually doesn't fulfill me as much as I thought it will. So I still love to compete, but I the when I going back to the countryside and meeting these animals and
Yeah.
going in my dad's poor house, and I was like, that energy, what is there, is priceless. It's no luxury can kick, what is this? Um, Win it. No, it's
Mm.
something special. There are that type of life I was living. There are special energies, like it has a soul. I truly feel luxury. It just has to be a feedback in your life that you are ranking up. But those things I don't really have has soul, to be
Yeah.
honest. I
Yeah.
like it. Look, I'm a Leo girl. Like I kind of like it, but I like it just temporarily. So I'm always going back where I'm coming from because that was actually really feeding my soul, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I actually, I mean, I think that's we talk about that a lot. Is that what people see as success changes when you have success, and then you realize, oh well, maybe it's not what I thought it was to be successful. It's maybe more
Yes.
about those things that are most important to us, or that we find soul in, and things like that. So it's interesting to hear that because I also know that you went through some struggles. Was it last year? I guess some medical struggles and things
Yes.
like
Yes. Yes.
that, and I know a lot of what you even mentioned after your match this time was that going back to that is part of the reason why you think you did well this time. And explain that,
Exactly.
I guess, because you did have, you were sick not long ago and had issues and things like that, and you had to fight through that before you even got to the point where you could fight the other night.
Yes. Yes. So, like I said, the place I coming from, I would say the roots. This is
Yeah,
where I'm gaining my power from.
yeah,
So yeah, it involved everything. Like I said, the mindset, the genetics, the culture,
yeah,
the harsh. Hungarians very harsh. We're very spicy,
yeah,
we are very straight. Like if I would speak the way with Americans like we do in Hungary, oh my god, they will be so insulted. I just get used to, in Hungary, because if we don't like something, we're telling in your face. We don't give a fuck, and maybe that's why people more awaken in Hungary, like, oh, okay, that was rude, but maybe they are really right, maybe I really have to change or something. So it's
yeah.
also kind of bring out the best from you,
Yeah, yeah,
and I
and
was
create
very
some of that
sensitive.
resiliency you
I was,
probably went
yeah,
through, right?
I was very sensitive one, and I get all the time like, holy shit, I get so much triggered, I get so much used, I get so much take advantage and everything. And then it built me up, you know?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
built me up that people non-stop
Wow.
being me and everything with me.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's look, it didn't change me on the bad, like on a very bad way. Like I have more respect for myself, but it didn't turn me on the way like I'm going to be mean with people because they were mean with me.
right,
I
right.
was like, no, I'm gonna be still great, still nice, still fair, but I'm gonna choose with who. They have to actually earn it now.
Mm,
That's the
mm.
only thing I've changed.
That's an interesting way to say it. Yeah, that you have to kind of earn that respect both ways and be able to do it. Actually,
Yeah.
Sheena, one thing is you've mentioned mindset a few times and how it actually that's part of it is going back to that to kind of get back to that mindset. And I'm just wondering, like a lot of people probably, um, you know, before a match, and whether it's MMA or other things that you do as well. Um, how do you prepare mentally for some of those things? Like I think even Power Slap, how do you collect yourself after kind of the first time and then get yourself not to be like some people would think, okay, I'm going to be afraid and I'm going to flinch and I'm going to do something that will, be an issue right away.
Yeah.
Do you do anything specifically in your head to prepare you for something like that, aside from the physical stuff you talked about a little bit?
So in mind, no, I don't have to prepare for that. I think the life took me on that level that
Mm,
actually I don't really have to work on it anymore. I had to when I was back then in judo, because there I had some demons. What if this going to happen? What if, what that? But because I was already few times very deep down in my life when I thought it's over, like I'm really going to die. I really had very bad experience
yeah.
because I already experienced that. I don't have fear anymore. I know I'm gonna get back on my feet no matter what, and that's why I don't have fear anymore. I'm just like I'm all in, and I'm gonna bring out the best. I have trust in me. I know it's very important, the pre-work, the
Hmm.
physical work, because it's just gonna calm you down. That you really, I don't wanna go there, feel guilty that I didn't make the proper preparation, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So I'm really taking care of this. Like I was preparing for that. I took it serious.
Yeah.
I didn't was fucking with anyone's karma, because karma is real. It's coming back on the worst time. Trust me, worst time.
Yeah.
So I know that. So my karma was clean, everything. I was very confident about myself. And fear, look, fear is the biggest enemy. And the fear was created by you. So your you're the owner of your own thoughts. So if there is any bad talks is coming in, I'm like, get the fuck out from my head. This is my head. I don't allow you to come in here. Everything will be fine. And even if it's not fine now, it will be. It may feel not fine now, but maybe it's gonna be a blessing the days, months after.
Yeah.
So the certain situation is something very negative for me. I try to see the positive side of it. You know what I mean? Even
Yeah.
with Jackie, when she knocked me out, it was terrible, but I was like, it meant to be. It meant to be. I couldn't change it. I tried my best. I didn't even get the chance to slap. It happened. It happened for some reason. Let's see where it is going to take. Maybe it was also part of the the plan of God that I have to move back to Hungary. So it ended up actually really well. And that the situation I'm ended up now, I would say maybe it was worth. I would
Yeah.
say, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. It's kind of
So
trusting in the process a little bit to get there.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like now I have a totally different mindset than I ever had in my 20s. And now I just truly feel that no matter what's coming in my life, I'm down for like any challenge, any opportunities. I wanna taste more, from if I would say violence is good to call it violence, power slap, MMA, everything is like that, because I want to see what is the level when it's gonna actually make me feel something.
Yeah, like
So
whether that's discomfort or anything, it's like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
where's that
yes,
line, I guess, right? For you?
yes, exactly. Where is that line? Because now I see
Yeah.
it's going up.
Yeah. So, you've got lots of stuff that you've dabbled in over time. Like you've done a whole bunch of different things, everything from MMA to power slap to judo to bodybuilding and other things. How do you decide? Like, do you have very specific goals over the next little while? Like, do you sit down? Do you write those things down? Do you just take them as they come from those opportunities you talked about? What is that like for you?
Okay, so in the past 6 7 years I was writing down all
Hmm.
my goals, even in the calendar. when i
Yeah.
when i knocked out when not knocked out, when I won this fight against Jackie, I was writing like, oh, power slap event, I'm going to make the weight the day before, I'm going to win the competition here. So I'm
Yeah.
actually, when I'm
Right
writing,
down to that.
putting my
Yeah.
calendar, I'm writing on this, that what is going to happen.
Right.
But there are some things I think I have to give a little freedom for universe, God, whatever,
Hmm.
and I don't have to make like very specific, direction, because it can cause me some sort of disappointment, and maybe God has a better plan.
Mm.
So for example, a couple years, 2 years ago, when I started doing MMA, I'm in the very beginning of my MMA career, so I don't want to speak about myself like wow, wow, wow. But
Sure.
I know I have a huge background. I know I can get there really, because the work is there, the experience is there. I just have to work on my striking, which I do.
Hmm.
um, but of course, the biggest goal is what? Oh, UFC, that's the best.
Yeah.
But in the same time, now I'm like, okay, UFC is also just a symbol of MMA. Like,
Mm.
I was like, I want to do this for, again, for my soul.
Yeah.
And no better now which league I'm going to end up, where for some reason, if I end up PFL or whatever ballot. Okay, now it's the same ballot or so. But if any other league, I'm gonna end up
Yeah.
as no matter what, I meant to be there, because I trust the process, you
Yeah.
know. So have big goals, but I'm not giving now the direction like, oh, just the UFC and nothing else, because I may be disappointed, if it's not going to work out.
Sure.
But maybe I'm gonna end up there. So I don't know. I'm just put my hard work and I'm gonna get as far as I can. So
Yeah.
this is how more I'm setting up my goals. I have goals, but I also let it flow a little bit. So not
Yeah.
over stressing, not over stressing. Yeah.
Yeah, seeing where the opportunities pop
Exactly.
up as you go, especially now because you have built up enough things that there's probably more opportunities that pop up now than there
Yes,
even was
exactly.
before, right? So,
Yes,
um,
yes.
one of the things that we always do to everybody who comes on is just, to leave the audience with something. And I think that the one thing that would be interesting is, uh, one thing that maybe people kind of struggle with a little bit is that resilience part. And maybe if, do you have a couple of tips on like those people that maybe have been through difficult things, and are kind of struggling with a bit that whole idea of, okay, how do I take a risk that, that might seem really big to me right now. Do you have a couple of tips on, how people can get over that fear to maybe take a risk?
Absolutely. So if I have this type of hard time, the very first thing we have to give gratitude for those things which we already have. That's the very first thing. Because and you have to compare with someone who don't even have those things what we have. And the very first thing for me was that I have an ability to walk, to do sport, to speak, to see. It's huge gift. And then you recognizing that if people don't have it, okay, that's really very bad. And we already have it, so it's not that bad. Besides that, when you start to give more gratitude, you changing out this depressive energy for more the positive energy. So you have to learn how to bring out from yourself from the negativity, because when you're raising up your energy and you're on a positive level, you are going to attract more positive thoughts, more positive things. So it's very important, because when you are deep down in the black hole, all the demons, everything is going to fucking attack you. You are open for them. And
Yeah.
that's what your job, that you close those doors and you start to change your mindset, your energy. That's your job. And when you lift yourself up, then you're going to see the light. You're gonna see it. I don't want to say what is, because it's different for everybody's life, but you're going to see it. So you shouldn't lose your faith. You can also think about that it can be worse. It always can be worse. Okay, so trust me, it can be worse. But it's gonna be sooner or later better too. It can be sooner or later, it's going to be better. So also trust the process, and it's gonna bring out. But you have to work on yourself. Nobody gonna help you if it's not on your own decision. You have to make the decision that you wanna get out from that fucking black hole, because you are there in purpose. Also, you have to analyzing why you are there. Why? There are some things we have to change, that the change is coming in your life. It's you directing your life. It's you are on your you have your own responsibility over your life. So
Yeah.
everything happens from your decision, from your thoughts. Or if something is outside of your control, you have to see why you are there. Is it a lesson? If you get your lesson, you're gonna get out like that. So
Yeah.
basically this is my message for them, maybe it was a
Wow.
bit long.
Yeah. Really powerful. I mean, I think that's great for people to hear, and I think is will resonate with a lot of people too listening. So thank you for that, Gina.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Again, been a really good, and I love the fact that you're very kind of open and honest about things as well.
i'm
So thank you.
always i'm
Yeah.
always
Well, thank you for sharing that anyway. And if people are going to follow you and follow kind of what happens with you over the next little while, what's the best way to do that, Gina?
Instagram is my biggest platform. Is
Okay.
Sheena Bathory an underscore. They can follow me, and there in my bio there's a link, and I think it's connected with my TikTok account to my YouTube. There are some of the YouTube videos they can see more after
Yeah.
me, and I have
Yeah.
my X. account X or Twitter, the old Twitter, you
Yep,
know.
yep.
Oh, that's I think Shayna for real.
But what we'll do is we'll put those links in the profile as well on the podcast episode, so people can connect right through. Um, and again, really interesting conversation. Congratulations on your most recent win,
Thank you.
but and whatever comes next. So I'm sure lots of people will be listening to figure out and see kind of what you do next, because obviously there's some big things happening. So thanks again for taking the time. I know you're probably super busy right now, so thanks for doing that with
Thank
us,
you.
Sheena.
Appreciate for the invitation. I really do. Thank you.
All right.